Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's Modern Investing on Pod TV. My name is Sasha Star. Our guest today is Jim Eat from Eat Foundation. Welcome to the show, Jim.
Thank you for inviting me, Sasha. It's great to be here.
Yeah, and so yesterday it was a very important day in the stock market. So now all the talk about this enormous investments in AI infrastructure and when they're going to be productive and therefore profitable. And yesterday there was an answer. Yes, they are profitable already. All these companies like Microsoft, Meta, others, they all came up with the answer to that question. So today is, I think, continuation of trade yesterday, and Nvidia looks quite attractive now these days. And I don't know what what's happened, but last week I increased substantially my stake in Nvidia, and looks like it was great timing because Nvidia went down at some point. It was $192 or so, and then once it's climbed to 200 and went somewhat higher, I instantly purchased 300 shares and have no regrets
Yes, yes.
so far. Yeah, and another my big position is Oracle, which also started to get out of this decline. It seems to me, and the problem with Oracle was that Oracle made great investments in infrastructure, and there were a lot of critics who said that they have enormous debt, and therefore the company stock was at some point over $300, went down to $119. That's where I bought it,
Oh,
119.
good for you.
Yeah, yeah, and
Very,
it was
very
also,
good investment. That was a very good price for Oracle.
yeah, yeah. I thought, okay, my downside is what, 115, maybe what, 110. No, cannot be. But even then, I decided, so I will buy on more shares. So I bought 300 of Nvidia and 300 of the Oracle. So far, these investments are doing quite well. How about you, Jim? How are you doing?
Well, I confess that I have no idea what's going on in the market now. Um, there's not equal amounts. I have more green than red on my screen. The
Yeah.
only real red on my screen that's significant is AMD, and AMD has had such a fantastic run up. The little dip is to be entirely expected,
But
and
didn't they have just earnings yesterday, probably?
they announced um, record quarter, but of
Okay.
course, the expectations were so high that
Yeah.
the stock went down. It's hard, it's very hard to have the expectations so high that even when you have a fantastic quarter, your stock goes down. But
Mhm.
that is the case with AMD. I still have that. I did sell my Nvidia and Marvell, which both had great runs for me. I may have sold too early, but I don't kick myself for that because I got more than what I expected to get, what I had hoped to get. And I put the money into, first off, APH. Uh, that's a corporation that invests in the electronic and fiber optic connectors that all these data centers need. And it's doing well. Let me check here. It's up 34% on the year, but it's
Nice.
recently starting to come back. It got a dip, and then it's coming back now. So I like it. Um, and the idea really is we're talking about the AI, and AI is we're not sure how this is going to affect society, but it will affect society, and it's growing. And people are against these data centers everywhere that are being built, but they're going to be built. There's too much money behind them, and they need all of these connectors. They need the fiber optics. They need the electronic connectors. The other company that I moved into was EME, which is helps with the design and construction of these types of data centers. They're a, a APH is not only in the United States but all over the globe, including China, and EME is mostly United States and England, or the UK rather. So these companies have broad reach. They're still predicting, they've been experiencing record growth and they expect to continue that. Now, I don't think that this is going to last forever. Nothing does, but I think this is the time to invest in these companies. And it's a 1 year, 2 year maybe time frame where I'll be looking to get out of them at once the point where we get some satiation in the data center building. And once all of that stuff is completed, they may not have as much revenue coming in. But right now, the revenue that's coming in is very impressive, and that's what attracts me to these companies.
Hmm. Well, for example, in case of NVIDIA and Oracle to lesser extent, but NVIDIA mostly, uh, you know, I found a very interesting phenomena. I did invest a while ago, a few weeks ago. My investments don't have very long time before I move on to something else. I remember was talking about the supercomputers and
Yes.
quantum computing stocks or so on. I had a few. I have SMCH and I had Rigetti computers and so on. And I was losing a little bit on both of them. So finally, they started to move yesterday, and I sold with profits of both. And when you have more money available, um, and I started to ask myself, what is next? Where do you feel comfortable? My answer is only one: Nvidia. And I do feel comfortable, not because it's a great company and so
Yes.
on. I Because I've invested in Nvidia for years now, and I feel almost where they are and when they're moving. Not I cannot predict every move, of course,
No.
but
No.
more or less I see it by volume, by movement of the stock. I can see where it opens and how it moves up in the first 10 minutes and stops and can continue to move out. Sometimes it goes down. And I just feel comfortable with that. For example, I don't feel comfortable when investing. I tried a couple of times with AMD, and it's just not my stock. I appreciate this company, and they're doing great, and they will be doing great. There is no doubt about that. But as the stock is concerned, it's volatile, and at least to me, it's quite unpredictable. As much as I feel for Nvidia what it's going to do for AMD, I just don't have feel because my experience in investing in the AMD is much lesser than Nvidia.
Yeah.
So Nvidia is something when I have some extra money and I think, okay, what to do next? Before I find out what to do next, already into Nvidia. Then I'll see what else is interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I have bought and sold NVIDIA a number of times, but I think you have done so more often.
yeah.
We've been in and out of that stock, and I'm not saying I won't get back in, but
Now, what I must also mention that what attracts me to NVIDIA, on top of everything what we discussed, is the premium on covered calls,
Hmm,
which is still unparalleled, and it gives me a very substantial cushion. Yeah, probably
right.
if it will continue skyrocket, my profits will be diminished substantially, but it gives me great cushion, and you know what I'm sort of. Rewrite calls, so like I sold initially 210, some August calls, and then I think yesterday I bought them back and sold September 215 calls. So I will increasing slowly my exercise price, getting more money for time premium, and therefore it's just by itself another profit generator. And if Nvidia will go down to 210 or so, I will buy back all those calls with a profit. And they have earnings, I think, on August 28th. So seems to me from behavior of the stock, they should have a really good report on.
Well, I expect so. Yes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
expect that.
Good.
And the Oracle has early September, I forgot the date.
Mhm.
Correct.
That's right.
Nobody care. Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't need the lowest possible price. You need to get on the move.
And the same thing goes, you invest a little bit in something that, and it's just because you have some skin in the game, you monitor it. And
Yeah,
I did the same thing
absolutely.
with Intel. Intel got a big chunk of money from the CHIP Act in the Biden administration passed, and they did a good pivot, but they're not quite where AMD or Nvidia are, and they
Not at
may
all.
never be. But they've gone up, and the price has gone up. So
Arjun, but tell me, Trump's administration, they got, I think, 10% equity in
I
the.
know, and so this is unprecedented. No, the government really shouldn't be butting into
No,
private companies.
but isn't it a move into what used to be USSR when they owned everything, all companies and all industries and everything? So isn't Trump trying to do the same thing?
But I think we used to export democratic principles, and now we're importing czarist principles.
That's
This is just another, just simply crazy thing to do. Um, but what that impact is, it's unpredictable. But my point was that I only bought a little bit of Intel, just so I had some skin in the game, so I
yeah.
would monitor it and see what's going on. So sometimes I think that's a good approach for investors. If you're interested in something, you might not pay attention unless you have some skin in the game. So buy a little bit of
Right.
like 100 shares of something that's not extremely high priced, so you can be interested in it enough to check on it and to see, follow the revenue reports, follow the quarterly statements, and you follow the news on the company. And this is the kind of thing that makes me interested in following certain stocks more intensely than I would have otherwise. So that's what I'm
Another
doing.
problem with the quantum computing stocks that they are, almost all of them, are very inexpensive. Like Rigetti is
Yes.
around $40. I sold it at $17 and so on. But again, I didn't make a lot of money on that simply because to make a lot of money, you have to buy, 25,000. Will give them another chance. So Israel is saying that the moment he says that he is going to attack Iran, so Israel is preparing their uh, fighters and they get their bombs underneath and the missiles and ready to fly. Then he says that he got a phone call with a piece. Okay, so they have to take down all this ammunition and so on. And then he's saying, "Oh, I'm going to destroy them and bridges."
Wipe out the civilization.
So they have to do the same thing.
Millennia.
All prepare their fighters and so on. And then an hour later, he's got a phone call. They want a peace. Oh, so they have to take down all that. And Israel says, we've had enough of it. We don't want to, every half an hour to get our flight ready to flight and take all down all the ammunition back. We are sick and tired of it. Okay, just do whatever you want.
Yeah, and it's a sad state of affairs when you believe what Iran is telling you more than what the White House is telling you. Because, Iran says we're not involved in any peace talks now, and Iran and Trump is like, I got a phone call and we're going to talk, and you can't believe what he's telling you, but
Yeah.
the Iranians are telling us more or less what's going on, the reality of the situation. If they were involved in peace talks, they would say so, but if they aren't, Trump is just making stuff up again. So, this is a truly sad state of affairs where you just simply cannot believe the messaging coming from the White House.
From one side, you can say that he is producing strategic ambiguity.
Yeah.
On the other side, he's just lying every time he opens his mouth. So, you can qualify whatever is more suitable to you.
Well, he did say he graduated at the top of his class, but and he sues you if you try to release the actual records. But you can also look at the dean's list. That's public
Well,
information, and
in one of the
he's never on
publications,
it.
Trump saying about his school years, he was saying that he was a master class chess player, and if he would continue to study more, he would definitely become a grandmaster in
Yeah,
chess. It would maybe for all of us would be better if he would indeed become grandmaster of
yeah,
chess,
yeah, yeah,
playing
yeah.
it. He
But you
would
and I
now.
know how difficult it is to become a grandmaster, and it's not something that Trump has in his bag.
Yeah, and they probably, and it's now too late for him to turn
Uh,
into chess this time.
Yeah, it's just illusions of grandeur, and everything's got his, the statues and the gold dust on the things, and plows over a rose garden to make a ballroom. The disaster with his reflecting pool that he thought vandals had destroyed it, but no, he just hired without any contract, without any offering of the contract to anybody, to his buddy, and his buddy botched it. He just did things that everybody knows in the business that you don't do. Like they need these sidings to adhere to one another, and they can't do it in the harsh sun. And he installed them in the harsh sun, so they didn't bind. So these are the types of things that everybody in the business knows what you're supposed to do, and so they just totally botched it. But he's blaming vandals. They,
Uh,
you know,
yeah, Jim, just shortly before the program, I was listening to very interesting. Uh, Basically, it was a very interesting program where there were political commentators, including John Mersheimer and one British analyst. I forgot his name, but he said that mm, Englishmen are very upset about this war in Iran. They first of all they don't understand the goals, what is fight for, but more so they calculated now that in this 5 months of war, it affected every English family. They brought them back $800 in 5 months. Every English family. They lost $800 as a result of this war. I would be curious to see study on Americans.
yeah,
How much
I'm
each
not sure how they
American.
came to that number, or what the formula is for arriving at that number, but there's no question that people are paying more at the gas pump. They're paying more in groceries. So their inflation is still, the Fed cannot lower interest rates, although there's a lot of, they definitely want to lower rate, but they cannot lower interest rates in this atmosphere. And even the bills, we're going to auction more treasury bills soon, and they have to offer higher rates
Yeah.
to attract people to buy them. So, all of these things are inflationary, and it's going to keep interest rates high, making it more difficult to start businesses, making it more difficult for you to own your own home. All
Yeah.
of these things are going in the wrong direction since Trump's second administration started.
So this is very interesting phenomenon that we are seeing the stock market is doing spectacularly well and it's climbing almost every day now, and yet most Americans cannot put the food on the table.
Yeah, this is the disconnect between Wall
Existing
Street and Main Street. Yeah,
Yeah.
because there can be record-making profits in this environment, especially if you know what Trump is going to say before he says it,
Oh yeah.
which many people do, and they place their bets accordingly and when the price of oil is going to go up because he's going to attack Iran.
Or talk about attacking
People
Iran.
are placing bets early before he announces it, and before it happens. So if you're on the inside, so the wealthy are getting incredibly wealthy,
Yeah.
much more wealthy than they were, even though they had incredible wealth to begin with. Yet the poor are getting poorer, and the middle class is hanging on by their fingernails. So this is not a sustainable environment, and the only thing you can do is throw the bums out next time you get your vote.
Yeah. That's really amazing situation. So Jim, you have to be very careful about watching what is happening, and especially what
Oh, yes.
Trump says and what he does, and so on. And there are entirely different things: what he says, what he does, and so on. So, in any way, thank you so much for today's program, and good luck
Thank
with your
you.
investments. Bye bye, everybody. We'll see you
Bye bye.
next week, same place, same time. Bye bye.
Thanks again, Sasha. Bye bye.